In the heart of what is now known as Arizona, long before the influx of settlers and the establishment of bustling towns, there lived a Native American tribe known as the Havasupai. The Havasupai had thrived for centuries in the Grand Canyon region, cultivating their lands, revering their gods, and living in harmony with nature. Their legends spoke of many spirits and creatures, but one tale stood out: a fearsome tribe of giant, ape-like creatures known as the Sasquatch, or Bigfoot. The year was 1823, a time when the Havasupai were flourishing. Their cornfields were abundant, and the waters of Havasu Creek provided for their needs. However, the tranquility of their existence was shattered one fateful evening. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the canyon walls in hues of crimson and gold, a group of hunters returned with alarming news. "We have seen them," said Ahiga, the chief hunter, his voice trembling. "They are large, covered in dark fur, and walk like men but with the strength of 10 warriors. They have come down from the high mountains." The elders gathered around the fire, the flickering flames casting eerie shadows on their weathered faces. The chief, Nantan, listened intently, his heart heavy with concern. The Sasquatch were known in their lore, creatures of immense power and ferocity. Encounters were rare, but always deadly. The first encounter came swiftly. A small group of warriors, led by Ahiga, ventured into the forest to confront the invaders. They found traces of the Sasquatch, huge footprints in the soft earth and broken trees where the creatures had passed. As night fell, the air grew thick with tension. The warriors heard the eerie howls and guttural growls of the Sasquatch, sending chills down their spines. Without warning, the beasts attacked. Emerging from the shadows, they charged with terrifying speed and strength. The battle was brutal. The Sasquatch, towering over the men, swung massive arms, knocking warriors aside like leaves in the wind. Ahiga fought valiantly, his spear striking true, but the creatures seemed impervious to their weapons. The Havasupai retreated, their numbers diminished and spirits shaken. Back in the village, the survivors recounted their ordeal. The elders convened a council, knowing they faced an existential threat. Nantan stood before his people, his voice resolute. "We cannot abandon our home. These lands are sacred, given to us by the Great Spirit. We must find a way to drive out these creatures." The medicine man, Tocho, stepped forward. "The Sasquatch are not mere animals. They are spirits of the forest, guardians of the ancient ways. We must seek guidance from the ancestors and the gods." A ceremony was held, invoking the spirits of their forefathers. The night was filled with chants and prayers, the air heavy with the scent of burning sage. In the midst of their rituals, Tocho had a vision. He saw a great battle, but also a way to weaken the Sasquatch, a sacred herb that grew in the hidden valleys, which could sap the strength of the creatures and make them vulnerable. Armed with this knowledge, Nantan called for neighboring tribes to join their cause. The Hopi, Zuni, and Apache responded, sending their finest warriors to stand with the Havasupai. They understood that the threat posed by the Sasquatch extended beyond territorial disputes. It was a battle for survival against a formidable enemy. The allied tribes trained together, sharing their wisdom and strategies. They prepared weapons imbued with the sacred herb, arrows, and spears that could pierce the thick hide of the Sasquatch. Scouts were sent to track the movements of the creatures, mapping their territories and identifying their weaknesses. On a moonlit night, the allied forces gathered in the canyon, their hearts united by a common purpose. The Sasquatch, sensing the presence of their adversaries, roared in defiance. The earth trembled beneath their feet as the beasts approached, eyes glowing with primal rage. Nantan, standing at the forefront, raised his spear high. "For our ancestors. For our children. For our lands." The cry was taken up by hundreds of voices, echoing through the canyon. The battle commenced with a volley of arrows, each tipped with the sacred herb. The Sasquatch, caught off guard, roared in pain as the arrows struck true. Warriors rushed forward, spears glinting in the moonlight. The air was filled with the sounds of combat, the clash of weapons, the roars of the beasts, and the shouts of men. Despite their fearsome strength, the Sasquatch were not invincible. The sacred herb worked its magic, weakening their defenses. The allied warriors fought with a ferocity born of desperation and resolve. Nantan led the charge, his spear finding its mark time and again. Beside him, Ahiga and the warriors of the Havasupai fought with unmatched bravery. The tide of battle turned. One by one, the Sasquatch fell, their roars fading into the night. The remaining creatures, realizing their defeat, fled back into the mountains, their will broken. The victory came at a great cost. Many warriors lay wounded or dead, their blood mingling with the earth they had fought to protect. Nantan stood amidst the fallen, his heart heavy with both grief and pride. They had defended their home, but the price had been high. In the days that followed, the tribes honored their dead with solemn ceremonies. The wounded were tended to, and the village began the slow process of healing. The Sasquatch, once a fearsome legend, had been driven away, but their memory would linger. The story of the battle spread far and wide, becoming legend among the tribes. It was a tale of courage, unity, and the unyielding spirit of the Native Americans who had fought to protect their lands. The sacred herb, which had played a crucial role in their victory, was revered and guarded, its secrets passed down through generations. Years later, as settlers began to encroach upon their territories, the tribes remembered the lessons of that fateful night. They knew that the true strength of their people lay not in their weapons, but in their unity and their connection to the land and the spirits of their ancestors. The battle for the sacred lands was more than a clash between man and beast, it was a testament to the enduring spirit of the Native American tribes of Arizona. They had faced an unimaginable threat and emerged victorious, preserving their way of life for future generations. And so, the legend lived on, a reminder that even in the face of great darkness, the light of courage and unity can prevail.